Hello, hello. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Welcome back to the Authors Allies podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Pachorik, and I am so excited for today's guest because we are talking all about visibility. And I'm not just talking about the kind of visibility that makes you go viral. I know everyone thinks they want that, but we are talking about the kind of visibility that is going to build long-term impact and income for you as an author. Crissy is a visibility strategist, a certified transformational and neurogetics, hopefully I said that right, coach, speaker, and the creator of two game-changing resources for entrepreneurs, which I happen to have both of these books handy right here. And she's helped authors, entrepreneurs, and online business owners show up in powerful, authentic ways, even if they're introverts. You're not going to believe that she's an introvert, but I swear she says she is. And she helps you build an iconic brand through strategic visibility. The cool thing about Crissy, too, is that she's not just any guest to me. She's actually my visibility mentor. And she is one of the people that really pushed me to get out of my shell, onto the screen, and you're just going to love her blend where she has no fluff strategy, but she's really heart-led. So thank you, Crissy, for coming on the show. It really means a lot to me to have you here. Yay!
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so fun. It's funny because I really would have never in a million years guessed that you're an introvert. And you tell us all that even when I saw you last weekend on stage at an event. You still insist you're an introvert. And I just find that hard to believe. How in the world does someone who's an introvert end up teaching visibility? What happened? How'd that happen?
Because it's the way to grow. It's the way to grow your business. And, it really is like taking yourself outside of yourself, I guess is the best way to explain that, because it's not about me, it's about other people. And so that helped me be less introvert online or on stage. And I look at it from the lens as long as I'm serving, I am total. You would never guess that I'm an introvert because it's more important for me to serve and support my audience than it is to be. Don't get me wrong. I love my little shell. I love hiding. I love laying on my couch. I love all of those things, but it is more important to me when it truly is your passion and you're really convicted about it. And you know that there are other people that are just like you and don't want to be visible and find ways not to be. When you can serve and support them, because I believe we all have a message and we all have a way to create ripple effects in someone's life. And we all kept it to ourselves and we were all quiet about it. What kind of world would that be? And women get to take place. They get to take their spot even more in the world.
I think it's even harder for us because we all feel so judged based on our looks, especially when it comes to video, that we're just terrified, right? And it's really hard to get over that. And especially when you get out there and you get those first few trolls, there's mean people everywhere. So it is really hard. Why do you think that is? Why do you think, especially for the authors, like the authors, I don't know, many of the authors I think do write because they want to tell their story, right? But they can tell it from behind a keyboard. And so why do you think that getting in front of that keyboard feels so hard to them? Do you have any ideas on that?
Well, I think so. For example, if you're an author, you're probably on Amazon and you've probably, I'm assuming everybody's had like a negative review on a book, right? Like most people probably
it's bone
have.
crushing, but yes, it happens.
Well, but the thing is that do you look at that review and say, I'm never going to write another book? Or do you own that the majority of people love your book, that one person, your book just wasn't for them, or they had a bad day? But why can't we do the same thing when it comes to social media, when we're online? If people don't agree with us or people say something nasty to us, it's just one person. It's not the masses that are willing to say that. And the other thing that I'll say is that most of the people that have something to say about you have zero videos, probably never going to try to write a book. It's easy for them to read, review, and be nasty about it, but they're not pursuing their own dreams. And so, I think just putting it into perspective is a lot more helpful, because your book's not for everybody, which means also you're not for everyone.
That's such a good point. And when authors go to write their story, they're all just automatically, of course, we think everyone's going to love our story. We think everyone's going to love us. And it's just not reality. I mean, it's no different than life, right? Like, I mean, we're just not for everyone. And that really makes sense. But when I'm talking with them, so many of them, when I start working with an author, it's because they're just so stinking overwhelmed, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I wrote a book. This is what I want to do. I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to get on video. This is, I just want to write, right? I want to hide in my little introverted office, write my
Yeah.
story, and then not worry about it. So, what is a good place you think for them to start to get that visibility going? Because, so many of them think that they just write the book, put it on Amazon, and, people will come. That's not really reality. So, what do you think is a good starting point then for getting visible as an author?
If I wasn't only an author and I wanted to start getting visible, the first thing I would do is I would go on press tours.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
you can't get on the Today Show or live with Kelly and Mark or whatever it's called today. But what if you did what we're doing?
right.
Because the thing
Yeah.
is that if somebody wants to ask you questions about your book, you're going to be so convicted and excited about it. You're
Hmm.
passionate about it. That's why you wrote it, right?
Right.
And it's
Right.
always responding energy. So I would start in something like this, doing live interviews, doing podcast interviews, and going on your own little press tour. Maybe you don't have a PR agent, maybe you don't have a
Sure.
marketing person, but you can do this yourself and promote yourself to people who are doing this. Find people
Hmm.
who want to shout out authors like Rebecca and find people who are willing to allow you to talk about your book. That would be the first place that I would start. And also, even if you're not someone like Rebecca, for example, helps you market as an author, even like a book will get you on podcasts
Yes.
that have nothing to do with writing books, right? Because they want to
True.
promote you and author, even today, I feel like author just puts another like I don't know if I want to call it social proof, but it is a title that is respected. And so when you
Absolutely.
can say that, I would love to come on your show and promote my new
Hmm.
book. I would love to come on my show and pre-sell my new book. I would love to whatever. Like that is an in for so many people that they don't take advantage of. And so that would be the first thing that I would do, especially if
Yeah.
you don't necessarily want to get on video and just
Sure.
talk about your book, right?
Right.
Being
Right.
not responding. And if you're like, well, can't find anybody, find another author that will
Hmm.
interview you and then return the favor on another day for them. I mean, that would be like a great way to do it because again, it's that responding energy. It's way easier to
Right.
respond than it is to present.
Absolutely. And, I love that you said that one, because that is one thing that I teach as well, right? Is like podcasts are a great way for authors to get out there. But also, if they really are an introvert, getting on that press tour doesn't even necessarily mean that they're sitting here like you and I, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe they just provide me the book and I'm talking about it. They give you the book and you're talking about it. So it's sort of another form of faceless videos per se, because they don't even have to be on there. If someone on TikTok or anyone else talks about them, the bloggers, all of the bundles, we talk about that a lot in my group. Any place you can get on there. And I do love that. And I wish more authors thought that way, because I think they all get so overwhelmed thinking they have to have 10,000 followers or that they have to go viral on TikTok in order to get their
Yeah.
book sold. And really, they just need to have a small handful of people that know, love, and trust them. And
Hmm.
they can start spreading the word, right? So I'm really glad that you said that, because I think that's something that a lot of them don't think about. And then, two, what you said about getting on podcasts and talking to people that aren't just talking to authors, right? So I have people who have written about mental health issues, so they can be on podcasts about mental health, right? I have
Yeah.
people that have written in the dental industry, so they should be on dental podcasts. I mean, it's not about getting on an author podcast, right? So it's about looking at what you're doing in your entire industry, which I think is just really thinking outside the box, right? And they just
Yeah.
don't need to
Even if
make it
it's
hard.
Yeah, even if it's fiction, like if some
Hmm.
some feeling or depression or something like that like caused you to write the book, or that
Right.
was the hero's like pain point in the book, right?
Yeah,
Like anything like that, it can help people see things through other people's
I
eyes,
love
and you
it.
can go on that find podcasts in that
Sure.
topic and go on that and go on those.
I love it. I love it. So when I think about things like that and getting the authors to, kind of get out there and things like that. And then I think about the fact that you're an introvert, which I know, and I have seen you a little shy now and then when you first walk into a room, but you get over it very quickly. You being an introvert, not only do you actually speak on stage and you do the podcast, but you did two books. So the first one was the Content Creation Machine Journal, which if you're watching the video that we've done here, you would see that I'm a total nerd girl here. And I took this book and I have it all tabbed up and it's all written in. So my book is well worn and well used already. But for people that can't see this, tell us what this book is about and why you even came up with this in the first place.
Because the number one thing that people tell me, the reason they can't get visible is because they don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually a couple reasons I created this book. The other thing is I think we give a lot of our power away to AI. AI is a great tool.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Absolutely use it to save you time. However, I think a lot of times we don't believe that we know the things that we know, right? For example, maybe you're an author and you're listening to this and you're like, there is absolutely no way I would ever write a book with AI, ever. Like, I'm totally against that. Okay. But you're going to let AI write all your content? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so one of the things that I think builds confidence is when you do this book, you realize, I know a freaking lot of stuff. I know like a lot of stuff. And yes, can you use AI to improve it and make it better? 100%. But it really lets you know how much knowledge you actually have. And I look at this book too, Rebecca, I don't know how you feel about this, but I remember growing up, my mom and my grandparents always doing like crossword puzzles and doing things to like flex their brain knowledge. Like this book actually will do that too, because you really think strategically and you're doing a lot of brain dumping in this book, but it's almost like prompting you on how to do that.
Okay. Yes. I love the way you have it set up. So in a nutshell, the book is mostly journal format, I would say. And then you've got a little bit of the information at the beginning. And in the book, one of the reasons that I love this book so much is this is the way I learned to do marketing. And maybe that's just a Gen X thing. I don't know. But I have done all my marketing for the last 20 years now, setting up pillars of information. And that is what I think this book is genius at doing, that there are the pillars set up for all the things that you can talk about. So just as an example, like on mine, I have email, I have talking about myself, right? Because people want to know us. I have community, social media, how to launch, how to do your media kit. So whoever you are, whatever your business is, right? Like you said, you wrote a book, you have stuff to talk about. And I love the way this is set up. And then if I'm not mistaken, don't you also even have a couple of QR codes or videos people can get to where you're giving them a little extra, a little extra info, right? So you kind of walk them through how to do it. Is that what's right here?
Yes.
That is amazing. So when you did this was your first book, I know. So how did that go? Were there any little surprises or lessons that you think you really learned along the way? Or did you was it just like smooth sailing all around?
No, it wasn't smooth sailing. So the reason I actually created this, it was a gift for my inner circle. And I was like, how cool would it to be? Because I had done this program for 2 years and I was like, I could easily make this a book.
Right.
But the things that I learned was, number one, I like big fonts and I cannot lie. And I had to redo the book because it looked like it was for a 90-year-old woman who literally cannot read because the fonts were so big. So that was the first mistake that I made. I mean, I want to be visible, but I don't want you to feel like you're 90 years old and there's like two sentences on each page.
Yes.
So that was the first thing that I learned, but also it was actually a lot easier than I thought. I created that book in probably less than 8 hours.
Okay. Well, that's not typical. I mean, because it's a journal, but yes, like it's a lot easier in general. And the process of uploading it, I think so many authors get scared once they have the book, then they don't know what to do with it. And is your book available only on Amazon or did you use any other?
Yeah, right
Any other
now
place?
just Amazon.
Okay. So wasn't that easier than you expected it to be? I
Yes.
mean, people think that part alone should take 8 hours, and they worry about
Yeah.
having to hire people to do all this stuff. And it's like, it's attach, type a little information.
Yeah.
It's really
The
not that bad.
waiting, the waiting is
Yeah,
the worst part.
isn't it? Yes, yes. The waiting for that final approval, right? And then the wait to actually get. Tell me about that feeling you had when you opened the box and
Well,
saw
I
your
mean, like I
books.
said, the font was huge and I was
Yeah.
like, ugh, like,
Oh,
but
so you got a
nobody
book?
knew.
Oh,
What?
you got a book. You had a copy of it with the big font. So you
Yeah.
changed it.
And
Is that what you're saying?
no one
Okay.
knew that I had
Okay.
wrote this book. So I
Oh,
told no
gotcha.
one and
Okay.
I wanted to get a copy, but I was
Yeah.
doing it between, I think I did it, I think it approved on Christmas Day, which is
Okay.
crazy. That was
Right.
like the best Christmas gift that it was
Yeah,
approved. And
I bet.
so I ordered it. Obviously,
Of
Amazon 2 day
course.
is not happening
Yeah.
between Christmas Day and New
We're
Year's
busy.
Day. Yeah, I think it took like a week to get to
Okay.
me. And so as soon as I got it, I realized what I'd done. I went back in, changed all of the
Okay.
fonts, which changed a lot of things, right? It changed
Okay.
the sizing, it changed the number of pages. I added more pages because I wanted it to be a little thicker. And
Good.
then I ordered one more after they approved that, and I loved it. And then I started sending it out to people. And then I just kind of mentioned it on social
Right.
media, which was
Okay.
crazy.
Kind of. No,
And
that's a soft launch. We call that a
it
soft launch. So you had a little
it was
soft launch.
totally a soft launch because I
Yeah.
was not 100% confident. I'd never done it before. So I knew my
So
audience, I knew I
funny.
had raving fans, but when I hit the number one for probably about a week and a half, the number one
Great.
new release book in social
Yeah.
media, like that blew my mind. I was
I
like,
love
what
it.
is happening? And then I just was excited about that. And I wasn't even sharing what the book does. I was just like, I'm
Right.
so excited. Like, look what you guys have done. And then more people would buy it. And it was just so crazy to me. So yeah, that was just totally unexpected. But I think too, and this is a great lesson for authors, I already had an audience. I already had an
Yes.
audience.
So
And when you
important.
take people on the journey, like if
Hmm.
you, let's say you don't do anything else, but you're an author, take people on the journey. Like have things that
Hmm.
you're interested in, especially with social media being interest based. Find things that people can connect with you through, and they will want the book. They will want the book if you take them on that journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'm sure you probably give the same answer that I do when people that are doing almost any business, but particularly authors, ask me, well, when should I start doing social media? When should I start promoting my book? And I'm like, yesterday. And they're like, but I
Yeah.
haven't written it yet. And I'm like, exactly.
Yep.
So many people, the publishing world is not like it used to be. Like you used to, query the agents, you get like a big publisher, they give you this big fat royalty check ahead of time. That is not the way it is today. Even the people that have the big book deals, they aren't going to get those unless they already have the platform. That's the first thing that a
Hmm.
publisher is going to look at. They're going to be like, well, what's your platform? So if you have any hopes of becoming traditionally published, you have to bring the heat. You have to bring the audience already. And
Yeah.
so that's why I think it's really important for authors, for anyone who has a business, to have someone like you in their back pocket because they need to know how to get their face out there, right? Like they
Yep.
need to know what to do. And we talked about AI briefly, and I know I've had a few episodes on AI already, but it doesn't matter how good AI writes for you, does anything else for you, your face is still your face and you are
Yep.
still your book. And so it's really important to get out there and, you know, get to know people. Like you said, they want to know you as a person. The best post, the post where people get the most engagement, no matter what that business seems to be these days that I've seen, and maybe you've seen something different, is more of the personal stuff. I mean, I could
Yeah.
share all day long about my business and not get one single like, but I shared yesterday that I was lounging in bed and I get a ton of people commenting on my post. I'm like, this has nothing to do with, right? Like anything you're doing. They want to know you,
Yeah.
which I think is good. I think is really
Yes.
important. Um, the content creation machine. When did this one come out? I was trying to think about that the other day without digging out the numbers. This has been a few years, right?
January of 2024.
2024. Okay.
Mhm.
So the next book you did, The Visible CEO, when did this one come out then? This I remember buying it.
I think October of 2024.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I knew it wasn't this year. And I'm like, I think
Yeah.
this came out in time for Christmas. So what made you
Yes.
decide to go to this then? And I know, again, most people are going to listen, not watch, but if you happen to watch this, I would say is basically a daily planner, right? Your kind of your
Mhm.
plan of attack. And
Yep.
it's got all the things needed in it, I think, to kind of force you be visible, really. So tell us about this. Tell us what your thoughts were behind this one.
So, first of all, total transparency, I created this for me.
Perfect. I create
I
my own
created
all
it
the
for me.
time and then publish them.
Yeah, and I needed this and I
Yeah.
wanted this, but
Okay.
also so many people literally think that I live on social media. They think that I
Yeah.
always overwork. They think that I work all the time. And I'm like, no, I don't. I do these things every single day. That's it. That's it. Like
Okay.
it takes me, I mean, if I do a 30-minute workout and it takes me less than 2 hours to do every single one of those things. If that's
Wow.
all I had the time to focus on that day,
Okay.
that's what I would do. And
Okay.
so I wanted people to see that it's easy. And actually, I love that book, and that book is amazing. But I think
Yeah.
I'm more proud of the videos that go with that book because
Really?
I'm showing people exactly what to do and how to use the book, but also what all those things mean. So there's a lot of lessons with that
True.
book.
That's true.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, because I think a lot of times as a business owner and as a CEO, right, that's called the Visible CEO journal, planner. That's horrible that I just said it. Planner and guide. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't
but
worry. And we'll have all the links in the notes for everyone to be able
yeah,
to find them
and
too. So,
the thing is that yes, getting visible is a priority. It is a priority, and but also seeing yourself and working
mhm.
through all of the things that make you a better human and
Great.
seeing your audience and inviting them to something every day, those are important things too. And so this is just a great journal to remind you, there's a win section. We don't celebrate ourselves enough every single day. And the more people that do that, when ish hits the fan, because it will, my friend, if you're an
Mhm.
author, a business owner, doesn't matter. The ish is going to hit the fan. We're all human. When you can look back at those wins and see, oh my gosh, like I really did have a great month. I felt like this one thing made me feel like it was the worst month ever, but man, the rest of the month was really good. And when you can put that
Right.
in perspective because you have it written down, it's a game changer.
Yeah. And I think that's a game changer for anyone who's running a business. And let's face it,
Yeah.
being an author, I mean, it's a business. And shameless plug for your group because being a part of your group, uh, the Omni 365 and the other Omni groups that you have, going through your coaching programs, one of the absolute best things that happened to me last year was the last quarter when we did what we were grateful for. We did a win every single day. We accounted for that in a group, said it out loud, and I still do that. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I do that. And not only do I do that personally, I make my family do that every night at dinner. My guys hate it. If they ever meet you, they're going to be like, she's the one. But every night at dinner, when we say our prayers, for our dinner prayers, then
Yeah.
we go around the table and we say something good that happened today or something we're really grateful for. Because it does, like you said, it puts everything in perspective. Like you could have the worst day. And then when I come home and I sit there and I see the two people that mean the most to me in the world sitting right there, doesn't matter what else happened, right?
Yes.
And so I love that part of your book and being able to track that. But also the fact that you held us accountable to that was, oh, amazing to me. Sorry, I never told you that before. It
Well,
just dawned
thank
on me
you.
that is when I started doing that with them, and I think that's really important, no matter who you are, right? I mean, that
Hmm.
gratitude, that will get you everywhere in the world, and I think that's something that we don't think about,
Yeah.
and even, if you got a terrible review for no matter what, for anything, whether it's your business, a Google review, an author review on Amazon, or your book review, whatever, at the end of the day, you still have people that love you. That's, that's worth everything. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. So with both of these, you have two books now, and they are very well branded to your business, which brings up a point that I also love, the fact that I feel like every person on the planet could be an author. I really do. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally biased, of course, I'm
Yeah.
such a reading nerd, but every person has either a story or they have knowledge that I think that they can share with the rest of the world. So, how has this helped you as like a business strategy for the rest of your business? Have you found the books to help increase your business along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. And my thoughts were this is a lead magnet, right?
Ah,
Yes, it's
okay.
a paid lead magnet, but
Sure.
it's a searchable lead magnet inside of Amazon.
I
So
love it.
I don't really talk about my book very often, like a couple times a year. It's because it's
Yeah,
not the main focus of my business,
sure.
but I still am making sales, right? And they're finding it because of the reviews, because of the description and all of those things. And so it is something that I want to do because I do also think that there are people who will never buy like programming where we go live on Zoom and they learn things, but they will read a book. And so I
Absolutely.
will continue to do it. One of my goals is every single program that I have
Hmm.
will have a book with it.
Ooh, I love
So
that. I
that
love
is
that.
definitely one of my goals.
I love it. So do you have something already in the works that might still come out this year, or you try not to put that pressure on yourself at the moment?
I'm not putting that pressure on myself, but the number one book that I want to, that is outlined, we'll say that it's outlined,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
raving fans.
I love
So
it.
that's one of the ones that I think is so important. The
Hmm.
other thing that I do love about, and I don't know how you feel about this, Rebecca, but the one thing I do love about publishing through Amazon is that when I teach social media, when I teach marketing, we know it changes a lot. And it's
Right.
very easy, whether they're reading it on Kindle or print, it's very easy to update the book. Now, granted, not
Yes.
everybody's going to get the update if they have the hard copy, but
Hmm.
the Kindle users would get the update. So it's very easy to update the book and have different, obviously, updated versions.
Sure.
And so that is probably a must for me because
Hmm.
I mean, I've taught raving fans for 4 years in a row and it evolves every single year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I would potentially update a book every single year too.
Absolutely. And, having published magazines for so many years, I still have some of those. And that was just amazing to me. That's something that I really love as well about the current publishing industry being print on demand. Because
Hmm.
even if you get a book, every magazine I've published, no matter how many times I've looked at it later, I find a typo. It's inevitable. I'm human. We didn't have Grammarly. We didn't have spell check. I'm old. That wasn't around
Yeah.
back then, right? We only had our eyeballs. And so that factor alone makes today's publishing so much better in a lot of ways
Hmm.
because, if you find an error or if things do change, yeah, as they inevitably will now. I mean, how many books are out there that talk about Twitter or Periscope or, whatever? Things come and go. And so I love that with the print on demand industry. And you're right. If I've got a hard copy, while it may not change, even so, if I'm still following you on Amazon or wherever, I can at least see that you updated it. And maybe that's
Hmm.
another sale for you down the road. It's the same thing as having a series, right? If you're writing fiction and you have a series, you want to continue the story. And the same thing can happen with you. Both of these books, I can see people buying more than once because, maybe I need a different book for my second business, right? Or,
Hmm.
obviously a planner that's going to run out and you're going to need another one. So things like that are very helpful. And then, like you said, the programs are going to change. I think I've taken Raving Fans a couple of times now as a course. And yeah, it's different each time because of the new things that are available, all the new features, even just within Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, right,
Yeah.
that we have to keep in mind. And so I think that's really important. Um, You mentioned already the kind of the way to get started. You think if a person is scared about that visibility would be to do like a press tour, to have other people's content helping you out along the way.
Mhm.
What would be maybe like the next step to leave them with another little tidbit or a little task they can work on? What's something they can do themselves um, that would help get that visibility going without having to be on other people's stuff, you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, I love stories, but the other thing that even if you want to do faceless, like
Hmm.
reading parts of your book in a
Love that.
reel,
Okay.
right? That's your voice. They
Yeah.
could even see your book. You could be on the
Hmm.
pages and read, but create it at a juicy part where they got to know what's going
Love
to
it.
happen next.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
how many people have found their videos on social media and it's like a snippet of a story, and
Right.
then you can watch so many for free and then they want you to pay for it. I got sucked in one time and swore I would never get sucked in again, by the way. But I could
Good.
not, like, I had to know how it
I did
ended. And
too.
yeah, and so when you do that with your book,
Hmm.
that's a great way to get people in. And so
Sure.
help them see, like, here's what's about to happen, but you're not going to find
Hmm.
out what actually happens because you can buy the book for that.
Right.
And,
I love it.
obviously, especially like on TikTok, like using all the hashtags and the things like that
Hmm.
to help get your book out there. But also, like, record yourself. It doesn't have to be live. Record yourself and talk about why you created this book, because a lot of
Mm.
people will be so much more connected with the story behind the story. Like,
True.
why was this so
Yeah.
important for you? And we talk about this a lot in business, like why, like, obviously we want to know why you want to be an author too, but
Right.
really for
Right.
each individual book I would have a why I created this, why it was so important to
Sure.
continue this series, why their story wasn't done, why I wanted to talk about it more, why we dealt with this tragic issue inside of this book. Maybe it's something they experienced themselves. So the more that you can let people in, right, and the more you can share, because you're writing a whole book about it, so it's going to be out there
Yeah.
for the world. So learn
Forever.
to talk about it, yeah, to yourself, and invite people in, because you're going to have connections created that way. You're going to be more relatable that way. And again, you can obviously do that with like a press tour type of thing, and you can also
Sure.
sit down and just press the go record button and talk about it.
I love that. And it's good practice too, just,
Hmm.
sit there, record yourself, start talking. And then if you get something that's good to use, you use it. And if you don't, you don't. There's no pressure, no stress, just, kind of trying to have fun with it. That's a big thing to
Absolutely.
me. I tell them all the time, I'm like, just try to have fun with it. It's going to come through. If you're having fun, people will know. If you're stressed, if you're freaking out, people will know. So if you can try to relax a little and make it fun, I think that makes all the difference. Um,
Yeah.
where, like, as the visible CEO, I know that you are technically out there all over the place. Like, I see you all over the place. Where is the best place for someone you think to watch you if they want to be able to interact and get to know you a little bit more? Is there like a favorite hangout of yours online? I'm going to include all your links for people, but is there a favorite place that they should go, you think?
I mean, I am loving YouTube right now.
Me too.
But if YouTube isn't your thing, like Facebook or Instagram, either one or
Okay.
the other two places I'm pretty at pretty regularly, but I am pretty obsessed with YouTube right now. And again,
Okay.
it's first of all, you can watch me at like 2 times speed if you need to, if I'm dragging it out, and you can also
True.
pause it. And if you come back to it, it'll be right there. So you can start playing again, the same place that you left.
Right.
Whereas if you go watch a video on Facebook, there's a lot more distractions, I feel like, on Facebook
Sure.
than there is on
Absolutely.
YouTube. And you can also check out my podcast, which is the Visibility Impact Show. And
Perfect.
that is an opportunity as well. Just to listen on the go,
Yeah.
multitask, do laundry and listen, things like that.
Sure, sure. And I know you've got various coaching programs that people can be a part of. And what's great is you've got it at all different price points, which I
Yes.
love. And then don't you also, what is the name of your free group that people can join on Facebook? I have found that to be very helpful. But honestly, since I'm following you all over, I get lost on what name is what. What is
Okay.
the name of the free group they want to look for?
Because I may change it, if you
Oh,
ever type
okay.
in passionhustlegrow.com it will always go to that free group, no matter what the
Really?
name of it is. Yes.
Passion, hustle, grow. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Well, we'll put the
Yep.
links into the show notes. And then
Okay.
for the books too, we'll have the links in there for Amazon for them to go. Are they
Perfect.
both still available? They are both still available currently, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Well, is there anything else that you think people should know? And one more thing though, I have to ask because this started out as books and brew. What is your favorite drink if you are creating? Coffee, tea, something else more exciting? What do you think?
Sparkling water always.
Perfect. I love water. Mine can't sparkle because of the carbonation, but sparkling water.
Mhm.
Okay. I love that. Is there anything else that you think people need to know about you or where to find you or anything else before we wrap up?
They can check out the visibleceo.com/quiz, I think, which you're going to put in the show notes,
Yes.
and take a quiz. It's free to see
Love
how
that.
visible you feel like you are, or
Okay.
it feels like you are. And then
Yeah.
you'll get a $20 off of the Visible CEO program, which
I
is
love
also
that.
really nice that they can do on their own. And that's like 4 videos with 4 workbooks. So it is a great program that you can get for under $30.
Wow. That's amazing. And what a great way to just sort of dip their toe in.
Yeah.
Because they're all so scared, so overwhelmed. That's great. Thank you. I really
Yes.
appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And again, I have really enjoyed all of your groups. I've learned so much from you. I know that, whether they are just starting their journey or if they've been out there being an author for a bazillion years now, everyone can learn something from you, just from following your content, reading your books, or wherever they like to get their information. So thank you for being here. I really do appreciate that.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
having
much.
me. I'm glad to be here.
Yay! So much fun. Thank you. That's all for this episode of Authors Allies. We hope you enjoyed our exploration of the literary world. Be sure to stay tuned for our next episode where we'll have more fascinating interviews, book reviews, and marketing tips. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Leave us a review and share us with a friend. To get your free copy of our ebook, 10 Steps to Your Ultimate Book Marketing Plan, be sure to head over to our show notes. Until next time, happy reading and writing.